Welcome to Kyle and Dave versus the Machine Video Edition.
The video edition.
You know, it is.
We did it.
We're done. We did it. We're at the end of the year of 1971. We're moving on to a different year. To let you know, 1982, that's what our third season is going to be all about.
Much
the
more
year
fun.
of the genre is sometimes the subtitle given to that year. But we thought it might be just nice here to our YouTube viewers to talk a little bit about thoughts, feelings from 1971, and maybe even give a bit of an awards. The Machine. We're going to give out the Machine. It's a gold-plated robot that we give out every year to our favorite performances, films.
Oh, nice.
I'm making all this up as I go along. Dave, what did you think of 1971?
I like the way you pronounced film.
It is a two-syllable word, Dave.
What do you think about the year? It was great to get some grounding in an era of film before we were alive. We got to learn a lot about tight pants and weird hair and lead and gasoline and serial killers, oppression.
The backstory was definitely one of the more fun things to delve into, to really figure out, okay, I understand maybe what these people, what these artists are grappling with. I'll say this, barring only two films, which were $1 Million Duck and Pretty Maids All in a Row, except for those two, even the ones I hated, I'm actually thankful that I got to watch them because it gave me, again, a better context of understanding what people were fighting with, why those films were important, how it's been pushed forward going on. It's just a different year, right? We are not used to having quite so many films that are pushing these types of buttons, specifically films that were in like the top 10 of the box office. That's kind of the biggest difference between currently in 2021 versus 1971. Films that people were choosing to go to and spend their money on were the ones that were being provocative.
We are going to go to 1982 where we may learn to lament the idea of a blockbuster. We are programmed to love blockbusters because that's the type of movies we watch now. So the biggest tone shift was watching films for the mass public that were meant to build up on the excitement and energy that they were coming out of in the 60s. And so we got to take part in that. It was great. And we watched some, well, I thought terrible movies. And you know what I'm thinking about? They weren't terrible because they were constructed poorly. They were just hard to watch for a various number of reasons. We'll talk about it because we should have an award ceremony, Kyle. We should just sum up our feelings by the arbitrary nature of handing a statue to somebody.
Play some pomp and circumstance, like na 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 na.
We'll get flagged. Oh no, that might be open to me.
If you were to an award, the Best Actor Award, who would you give it to in the year 1971? Tom Laughlin, Billy Jack.
The films I thought we should consider for Best Actor, are we delineating between male and female, or should we just do them all as a single?
Let's do them all at once. We don't need to delineate them.
Ruth Gordon in Harold and Maude was great.
I don't have one. I don't believe in them.
Topol in Fiddler on the Roof.
A big tall house.
The Devils got screwed because they were banned, but I loved Oliver Reed and Vanessa Redgrave.
In a different reality, he would have at least been nominated for Best Actor. Whether Oliver Reed would have won, that's another story, but
we'll talk
that is a
about
performance.
You will be dead before it touches the ground.
I don't mind Gene Hackman being in that group, and Jane Fonda was amazing.
Control it, that's why. Someone wants you, not me. I mean, there are some Johns that I have regularly that want me.
And she probably would have won no matter what.
Jane Fonda is obviously the one who's going to win in that category. There's not even anyone I think that comes even close.
Glenda Jackson in Sunday Bloody Sunday. Roy Scheider could be in there. Cloris Leachman for Last Picture Show, of course.
The big tractor trailer in Duel, Best Supporting Truck or something.
Rasputin, who's it? Tom, I almost said Loft. That's
Tom
Billy
Baker.
Jack. Baker. So Rasputin was amazing.
And I know you weren't as big of a fan of this movie as I was, but Carnal Knowledge, I think, has some great performances in it, even though, again, not for one moment do I believe Jack Nicholson is an 18-year-old in that movie for the first 20 minutes, but whatever. This would be my bold choice, and just because of how much it's permeated the culture since then. And these are rose-colored glasses looking back in time. But Richard Roundtree from Shaft. In the first opening shot of him just walking down the street, like, that car is going to stop because I own this place.
Yeah, I love learning too that it's just off the cuff, low budget, and he's literally just walking on the streets of Manhattan. He's like, fuck you, I'm shooting here. Nope, I'm walking here. It's great. From an acting perspective, what would you say constitutes the best performance? I mean, if we're going to choose one, that's a big list.
Honestly, I think for me, if there was only one category, it'd be Jane Fonda versus Oliver Reed. Almost like a coin flip for me. As much as I love like Topol, Gene Hackman, and Jack Nicholson, obviously Roddy Dowell from Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Gravitas. I mean, how do you emote so much in a latex mask?
Everyone in Sunday Bloody Sunday is great. The performances that I'm thinking of all the time, Jane Fonda and Oliver Reed.
I think Jane Fonda sticks out the most for me just because it's the widest range. She does everything in that role, and she brings that film to life. She still has that magnetism. The Machine should go to
That's right.
Jane Fonda.
Yay!
Thank you very much, members of the Academy, and thank all of you who applauded. There's a great deal to say, and I'm not going to say it tonight. I would just like to really thank you very much.
What would you give Best Picture to?
Best Picture, by rating is one thing. The Devils, Fiddler on the Roof, French Connection, Clute, Sunday Bloody Sunday.
On our list, we should say number 1 is Harold and Maude.
Yes.
I would probably have nominated that for Best Picture.
I mean, I loved
but
it
I like it
as
that
a
much.
movie.
I rewatch it every couple of years. It's a film I'm kind of in the bag for.
As a overall project and scope, we lean so much into this, but is it the Devils? I don't know, man. Like, Clue was great, but there are little hiccups in it. And unfortunately, I mean, not to bag too much on Donald, but it's just, there are little moments where you get broken out of that film.
Harold and Maude is definitely my empathetic
of the
favorite
year.
or sympathetic favorite, like the one that I'm going to watch more often than any of these other movies probably in this list. But if, we're trying to combine like what has acting, direction, cinematography, music, art direction, all that kind of stuff, you almost have to give it to the Devils. I guess unless you're just like so totally put off by the sacrilegiousness of
it is
that
so
film.
gross.
It does get
it's
into
a
some
gross
pretty
movie.
degrading, gross territory. It is the film out of all of these that I want to see on the big screen. I want someone to put this back into a film theater so I can go and watch it.
I would agree with that, except I don't want to ever watch it again either.
I
So
see.
it's a movie that sucked me in, and I was clenched up, fearing for their lives, which tells you it's shot beautifully. Cinematography in that movie is fucking on point. The white city and all the high contrast shit's beautiful. We talked about it ad nauseum because there's so many conceptual things, historical things, production ideas. All the actors are nuts.
I will say this
It's
here
tough
too.
one.
You gave this a super low rating, which is why it's down further than I want it to be. The movie I honestly think that's going to start to slowly creep up, which happens to me sometimes where I'm like, I think I like that movie, and then it slowly
Godzilla
grows in my
vs.
estimation. Is what?
Godzilla vs. Hedorah.
It's going to be Godzilla vs. Hedorah, like top 5 film of 1971. And Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a film I keep coming back to and keep thinking about. I'm like, there's some great stuff in there.
If Fiddler won, I wouldn't mind it because that is also like such a large scale film. Like, I guess we have to decide, do we want one that's going to offend our viewers, or do we want one that's going to be universally accepted? I mean, I love French Connection. It has all, that groundbreaking stunt work. I think Fiddler is that huge,
Magnum
huge
opus?
film.
Are we giving it to Harold and Maude because it's number 1? Are we giving it to Fiddler on the Roof because of
Scope,
its breadth and
breadth.
big budgetness, musicalness of it? Or are we giving it to the Devils to be provocative?
How do you feel? What's your tone? I feel like
Let's
going
do
the
the
Devils.
Devils. Let's give the machine
exciting.
to the Devils.
And
then people
the
can get
winner
mad in the
is-
comments below and tell us why we're wrong.
We'll make sure we add a screen grab of, I don't even want to describe it, filleting the candle, puking out.
That's the picture. It's going to be
semen.
filleting the machine as it's...
Oliver Reed getting his shins broken by wood shanks.
We don't do awards on our main podcast, of course, but you can go and listen to a huge breakdown of what we thought, themes that we kind of came away with, and, of course, what we're expecting to talk about in the year 1982.
If we do sound a bit awkward, it was the first time Kyle and I were face to face in probably over 16 months or something like that.
Yeah.
That was awkward.
And then we got food poisoning. It was a great night all around.
It's perfect. I did watch Dune. It was a great experience. The next 3 days,
Then I
were
vomited
not.
my stomach out for the next 2 days.
We watched a worm on screen, and then we had one, apparently. Gross.
The mind.
Fear's the mind killer. The spices.
But also bugs that get into your gut.
All right. See you next year. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
This is coming out. Yeah. Happy New Year.
This will be like New Year's Eve this comes out. Have a nice 2022.
We'll watch some good movies. Not bitter.